Good morning, and welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Scott Yeomans. My pronouns are he and him. I'm joined today by Reverend Barbara Queeman and Service Associate Kelly Logidice. Today's music is provided by Carmen Sandem on the piano and Clara Kelly as our hymn leader. Today's tech team is Larry Sherwood, Karen Griglak, and Deborah Mensch. Today we're holding a mid-year remembrance service right after the sermon. There are several ways to honor your loved ones: in person, speaking their name at the microphones, or placing a flower or memento in silence on the altar. Or perhaps you're a little shy and you can write your name in the Joys and Concern, write the name of your beloved in the Joys and Concern book, and we'll read that later. On Zoom, you may speak their name and show the photo yourself, or use the chat. In these ways, everyone will have a chance to share their loved one's name in whatever way feels most comfortable. Now, take a breath. As I say the welcome words today, remember that life is precious and that we are wondrous lights in each other's lives. You are all welcome here today. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes and sizes, gifts and challenges that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways you experience and express gender, in who and how you love, you are all welcome here. In all the ways you make your living, in the places you are from, and with all the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here today. No matter how long you have been away, nor how soon you will return, you are always welcome here. You're invited to join us with a curious mind, a loving heart, and a willing spirit to find rest, to honor those who live on in our memories, and to celebrate this wet summer season of connection. We welcome you here today. If you are new here, we are glad you found us and hope that in this community, whether you're here in person or joining us virtually, you can experience the warmth and love of this congregation. Please come back a few times to really get to know us. We have many opportunities during the week for social connection and spiritual growth. Those on Zoom can check out the links in the chat to help get you more connected. And those in person can stop by the welcome table in the foyer for information and our newcomer form. The form is also on a QR code in the back of the hymnals. If you would like a simple order of service for today's service on your phone, please scan the QR code on the screens now, or click on the link in the Zoom chat. Everyone on Zoom is welcome to stay for casual conversation following the service. And if you are here in person today, you are welcome to coffee hour in Fellowship Hall. Now, if you're joining us on Zoom, please feel free to greet one another in the chat. And if you're a newcomer there, let us know that you're new. We'd like to know who is among us. And those of you in the sanctuary, please take a moment to greet your neighbor.
A good morning to everyone. I'm Reverend Barbara, the grateful minister of this congregation. My pronouns are she and her. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we light our chalice as a symbol of our faith. I invite you to join in the chalice lighting words as Scott lights the chalice. We light this chalice. My friends, before our traditional call to worship, let us take a few moments of peace and remembering the events of last Sunday. Scott will be lighting candles representing those directly hit by the attack on Pearl Street last Sunday. The greater Boulder community once again experienced collective tragedy last Sunday with a terrorist attack on peaceful citizens walking on Pearl Street Mall in solidarity with Israeli hostages held captive by Hamas. An act of solidarity they have expressed weekly since the events of October 7th, 2023. The leaders of this congregation condemn the horrific attack on the members of the Jewish community participating in this peaceful demonstration. While Unitarian Universalists do promote freedom of expression, we also strongly oppose violence in response to different viewpoints. Violence is never a solution. Some words from the Denver Post of June 4th complement our own views. Quote, "The assault not only shattered lives and terrified a community, but this senseless violence tears at the foundation of America and makes us all less safe. Whether compelled to exercise your free speech in a Boulder march calling for the release of Israeli hostages, or to join a protest calling for the end of Israel's campaign in Gaza, or the many who would march in both, Americans should feel safe that their words, beliefs, and advocacy won't get them killed." Unquote. My friends, we have a long way to go before we find such peace. But the wake of a tragedy is the time to remind everyone of our idealistic hopes, that Unitarian Universalist values are something we can all unite behind, even as international conflicts continue to divide many Americans. My friends, may we all continue to honor the individual humanity in each of us, continue to take a stand for justice in the public sphere, and continue to work and pray for peace in our personal lives, in this community, in this country, and in the world. My friends, let us come together through this call to worship. In this hour of holy stillness, we gather to affirm this community of liberal faith. In this hour of holy stillness today, we honor the life and the persons we love who have gone before us. In this hour of holy stillness, we remind ourselves that the flames of life and love are never fully extinguished. In this hour of holy stillness, we offer ourselves for sharing the weight of each other's memories and grief. In this hour of holy stillness, we offer the strength of our love to help others survive their pain and grief. In this hour of holy stillness, we call forth from each of us the power we offer out of life, out of loss, out of love. Come, my friends, let us worship together this morning and be glad.
Each week, we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives and of this community by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Today, the half plate is for Growing Gardens. Over the last 25 years, Growing Gardens has brought regenerative agricultural education and food donations to over 136,000 Boulder County residents. Their program empowers people of all ages, income levels, and abilities by reconnecting them with their local food systems, teaching gardening, offering cooking and nutrition education, and donating thousands of pounds of produce and seed starts to low-income communities. You can text your donation to the number on the screen, or if you're at the fellowship today, place a donation in the offering plate as it passes. Please give generously as you are willing and able. For the work and witness of this congregation and Growing Gardens, your contributions are gratefully received.
So once again, good morning to everyone. It's good to see you this morning. And I understand some of you slept here last night. I saw the sleeping bags. Our theme this morning, in addition to remembrance, is Sabbath, preparing ourselves for remembrance. Listen to some words about Sabbath by the environmentalist and poet Wendell Berry. Whatever is foreseen in joy must be lived out from day to day. Vision held open in the dark by our 10,000 days of work. Harvest will fill the barn. For that the hand must ache, the face must sweat. And yet no leaf or grain is filled by work of ours. The field is tilled and left to grace, that we may reap. Great work is done while we're asleep. When we work well, a Sabbath mood rests on our day and finds it good. Inspiration from Wendell Berry. I trust most everyone has heard the creation story about how in the beginning, God took 6 days to create the universe, the heavens and the earth, light and dark, water and dry land, living creatures in the waters, on dry land, and in the air. And God called everything good. After all this miraculous work they did, on the seventh day, God rested. I also trust that most everyone accepts this story as metaphorical. Creating the universe, even by the most powerful source of energy, took much longer than 6 days, and of course, continues through today. Still, I also hope that we take to heart an important message, that after significant hard work, even God needed to rest. So we humans also do well to rest. Perhaps every seventh day, perhaps after some important project or event, such as, for example, an annual meeting, or a year of transitioning ministry. Rest is especially important during these challenging social and political times we're living in. I know that by the time of Ministry Days in mid-June, that's a national gathering of the UU Ministers Association, most of my minister colleagues, including me, are so ready for a break, even from ministry, which we love deeply. We need to replenish body and soul for this important calling we have committed our professional lives to. But it's not only for ministers. We all benefit. We all need regular moments to breathe, to clear out the busyness of life, from work, from school, from family and friends, from worries, even from positive highs. Every living creature needs to recharge. Now, if this concept of recharging feels foreign to you, perhaps lurking in you are the old Puritan standards of self-sacrifice, to work and engage and do for others, but not for yourself. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands on that one. But today, let's consider the importance of Sabbath practice for everyone, for self-care, for restoration, for personal balance, and later in the service for finding the calm and quiet within to remember departed loved ones gone before. Historically, Sabbath has religious roots, a way for deeper spiritual exploration. More recently, the term has also moved into secular vocabulary to mean time away from routine. I'm not tied to distinctions between secular and sacred. For me, any downtime is religious practice, since any focus on more authentic living expands our connections with one another, and connections is the root of the word religio. As Wendell Berry said, often our fields are tilled not by our own work, but by a gift of grace done while we're asleep. When grace steps in, downtime is religious practice. The Sabbath story in the opening chapter of Genesis continues to influence us today. And even before the era when the Genesis story evolved, various agrarian cultures advocated breaks on the seventh day, and also on larger time frames, like every 5 to 7 years, to restore nutrients to the soil, to produce yet higher yield on crops. Thus, with the creation story as a model, Sabbath in modern religious tradition occurs every 7 days in many traditions. Jewish Sabbath from Friday through Saturday evenings. For most Christians, all day Sunday. Sabbath brings balance, reminding us that we are not only humans doing, but humans being. If we join a religious community to find connections with others, our connections become all the stronger when we bring our whole selves, our renewed selves, to our communities. Sabbath practice appears in virtually all world religions, in Buddhism, in Native American, in Islam, in Wiccan, and much more. Now, frankly, friends, I'm not sure how to define UU Sabbath. Perhaps we need to be more intentional about Sabbath practice, so to more fully live out the core values of our liberal faith, including and especially a commitment to help heal a broken world. So I encourage everyone to, perhaps in our tradition of individual freedom, create your own definition of UU Sabbath practice. While the core sense of Sabbath means a break from usual routines, Sabbath is not about doing nothing. It's not an activity of absence. Instead, Sabbath includes intentional practices. For many, Jewish Sabbath begins on a Friday evening meal. That includes rituals such as candle lighting, perhaps concluded with another ritual meal on Saturday evening. Through intentional practices, Sabbath observance feels the soul, finds new relationships, and helps us connect with life and energy that comes from living the seventh day differently. I remember in one of my programs of graduate study, one of my many programs of graduate study, one of our profs was an observant Orthodox Jew. Given how totally overwhelmed I felt by that graduate program, I just could not make sense of how this tenured full professor managed to accomplish all he did in life when he didn't work or drive a car on Sabbath. Clearly, it was because he observed Sabbath that he lived the rich, productive life he did. Just like any other spiritual practice, how we practice Sabbath is wide-ranging. We can take off an entire day every 7. We can also set aside shorter or longer amounts of time. In some ways, this hour of worship on a Sunday morning may be a type of Sabbath for you, one of the few hours of the week when you recharge. I also advocate even shorter time frames, 5 or 10 minutes during the day, what one of my colleagues has called everyday spiritual practice, a moment of recharging. Do you get away for a lunch break? Or do you eat at your desk because you think the job is never done? If you're not currently employed at a paying job, do you take Sabbaths from volunteering? Do you take breaks from sensory input? Technology was supposed to make life easier, but it seems more complicated sometimes. Allowing for global communications across time zones, it seems there's no such thing anymore as 9-to-5 workdays or Monday through Friday work weeks. With technology at our fingertips, we can potentially be connected every moment of the day and night. Modern life seems bent on pushing limits, going faster, breaking records, earning more money. This draw to exceed boundaries is vital to the human spirit, but not at the expense of forgetting about the importance of downtime. Burnout, my friends, is not a productive spiritual practice. Shall I repeat? Burnout is not a productive spiritual practice. I have pleasant memories of Sabbath practice. Growing up in a hard-working Pennsylvania German household, we didn't call it Sabbath, but it was clear that Sunday was a day of rest. After church, which of course we always dressed up for, including hats sometimes, we came home to the main meal at midday rather than in the evening as on every other day of the week. On Sunday afternoons, we weren't supposed to do much of what could be defined as work. Tongues would wag if neighbors knew that we were mowing the lawn or hanging out laundry. My family was certain that opening stores for Sunday shopping was the downfall of civilization. What might Sabbath look like for you? How do you restore your soul? In addition to personal Sabbath, I call you to consider Sabbath periods for this congregation. It's a good idea that after a congregation has done a lot of good transitioning work, you take a break. The summer months are ideal for inviting periods of congregational Sabbath. Observing Sabbath, it expands what it means to be alive. In a moment, we will take a brief Sabbath, 1 or 2 minutes of silent meditation for our meditation for the day, to open ourselves all the more to focus on remembrance of departed loved ones from this congregation, as we also continue to reflect on everyone impacted and represented by the candles on the attack on Boulder last Sunday, as we also send Godspeed for safety of everyone who will continue to participate in their usual Sunday vigil this afternoon. I leave you with words by Abraham Joshua Heschel. The Sabbath, more than an armistice, more than an interlude, is a profound conscious harmony of humankind and the world. A Sabbath for all things, and a participation in the Spirit that unites what is below and what is above. This is Sabbath and the true happiness of the universe. My friends, may we all be good stewards of Sabbath practice to ourselves as we strive for transformation also during transitioning ministry and during this beautiful creative process called life. May all this be so. May I invite us into a minute or two of silent meditation. Amen, and blessed be.
All right, now is time to create our fellowship altar of remembrance. And we will begin by remember those among us that we have memorialized as a community since November 2023, the last time we created this altar together.
As we gaze at our altar of remembrance, let it remind us that we do not suffer the pain of loss alone. That grief takes on many colors and hues as it shapes and reshapes our lives. Let it remind us that it is through death that we appreciate the preciousness of life. Let us pray today for all those who are actively grieving the loss of a loved one, either recent or from long ago. Let us acknowledge that no matter how prolonged the illness or diagnosis, the finality of death arrives with a jolt, a disorientation, a falling into grief tethered only by memories, gratitude, and the love of the living. Let this altar we have made remind us to remain compassionate with one another, always and in all ways. For we can never know how deeply another may be silently suffering at any given moment. With the beauty of this altar to commemorate our dearly departed, we'll end in song, singing What Wondrous Love Is This, number 18 in the gray hymnal. And the lyrics will also be up there. Please rise in body and in spirit.
What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul. To love and to all friends I will sing, I will sing. To love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends who pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end I will sing, I will sing. With thanks unto the end I will sing.
Please remain standing. in body or in spirit, as we repeat the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice I invite you to join with one another as you wish, hand to hand, shoulder to shoulder, soul to soul, remembering the folks online as well. For those of you who have come here seeking God, may God go with you. For those of you who have come here seeking life, may life return your affection. For those of you who have come here seeking a better way, may that way be found and the courage to take it step by step. When you leave here this morning, my friends, go in peace. When you return to this sacred space, return in love and in hope and in remembering. Amen. Shalom. Salam. Namaste. Blessed be. I invite you to resume your seats. I believe we have
Good morning. I'm Nancy DeLaura, Board Vice President, and I use she, her pronouns. Our announcements today are, first of all, following the service, we will take a picture of this beautiful altar, and then you will be free to collect your photo or memento. Do you have lingering questions from last night's annual meeting? A good idea you want to share? Join representatives from our elected bodies, the board, the Committee on Shared Ministries, and the Leadership Development Committee for coffee and conversation following today's service. Look for our table on the stage in Fellowship Hall. A reminder that the Worship and Arts Council is accepting applications for service associates for the coming year. Please see Scott Yeomans or Karen Griglak for information, or find the link to get to the Know You form. The link to the Get to Know You form in your email. Speaking of email, your delegates to the UUA General Assembly, including me and Scott and Paulo and Wendy, we are seeking your feedback on several items up for vote at this year's GA. Please check your email inbox for our friendly solicitation. We want to ensure your voice is represented on these important issues. And finally, you are invited to participate in an intimate conversation with special international dignitaries involved in world peace. And if these two women are in the congregation, if you could rise, and there you are, wonderful, welcome. Anzelika Belova, President of Voice of Romny, a Ukrainian Roma-led organization empowering marginalized women, and Shaza Elmadi, Sudan Country Director at Center for International Private Enterprise, and an advocate for women's rights and democracy amidst conflict. Welcome to you both. So please grab your coffee after service and join your host, Marcia Coons, back here in the sanctuary, here in the front, around 11:30 to learn, meet, and hear their stories and ask questions. Thank you very much.